Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, my dear students. I hope you are staying alive and you are staying tuned. I'm going to now be focused on the specific stuff you see of the syllabus. It's a it's a huge lecture which I'm going to deliver to you people right now here. Um, because I'm going to teach you now. I mean the real methodologies, and I'll be talking about these are in your syllabus. See, I'm going to share with you people. I have already shared with you people. You know, so today I'm going to teach you things. Which you have already been told, and I have discussed quite in detail things, but today I'm going to just moving toward the specific things of this teaching of literature. Today lecture is very exhaustive, you see, and which has been delivered by an Indian professor whose expertise lies in education there. See here, we have talked about context of teaching learning of English in Pakistan. I'll try to talk on this again. I have just given you some strategies, and I have just given you that how literature has to be taught actually in a language classroom, because the basic purpose. And moreover, I'll try now actually some of the methodologies and some of the techniques you see through which will also help you, like any B.Ed or EM.Ed students there, right? So I'll be just talking about lesson planning, making and using lesson planning for teaching listening. Classroom observations, I'll be talking on it as well. The importance of classroom observations of English language, literature, classroom peer observations. I'll be talking about classroom dynamics, roles of teachers and learners, classroom interactions, teaching the whole class, pair work, group work. This micro teaching, which is a very very important concept, in modern educations. I'll be even talking about the modern education. Students will teach their peers and topics, and I'll be even talking about the reflective teaching there. All right. So this was just a kind of reflections, and I hope that I have given and delivered you more there. You must have got an idea that how to bring literature into the language classroom and what things should be there. But today I'm going to talk about this Dr. Jagannath Kedengi, who is actually a professor there at the Department of PG Studies and Research in Education, Kovimpo University, Srangata, India, right? And I'm going to and what he talks about is the innovative approaches for teaching and learning. So now we have to talk about these things. This is a very good presentation that he has prepared. These will be the session objective, and basically, we'll be talking about the background and status of education, learning, approach, methods, procedure, and technique. These are very very important. I'll try to be talking about what is approach, what is method, what is procedure, and what is technique. And I'll be even talking about teaching approaches and innovative teaching approaches, all right, and shifting role of the teachers in the present scenario. Because the very purpose, since you are in the last semester of your degree, so you must be enabled to become very good teacher. I mean, you must be effective teacher. You must be such active deliverer of knowledge. Suppose tomorrow if you become professors or lecturer. So I'll be just talking about these things. A little bit we have to say about education there, because mostly this professor background is from education. So But before I just talk about this particular presentation, let me tell you that what education means. Education means to bring proper change in the mind and behavior of an individual. This has been derived actually from two words, educere, and educator. Educere, educator means to bring out, to nourish, So the basic purpose of education is to bring some change actually in the mind and behavior of an individual, right? If you say that, I mean, if education fails to bring any change in the individual, or you see, so it would not be termed as education. So education, that is the key, all right? So here he talks about education as a basic human right. It is central to unlocking human capabilities. Remember, without education, we cannot actually fathom, we cannot access actually the human capabilities. This is education which enables us to understand, I mean, the human capabilities and the human potentials. So education obviously raises human capital, productivity, income, employability, and economic growth. These are all dependent on education. It generates trust. Remember, it generates trust, boosts social capital, and creates institutions that promote inclusion, share prosperity. Amartya Sen's capability. Amartya Sen's capability approach. Education increases both an individual asset in his or her ability to transform them into well-being, or what has been called the individual beings and doings and capabilities. All right. So poverty, gender, ethnicity, disability, location explain most remaining schooling disparities. Children from the poorest families are less likely to start school, more likely to drop out early. Violence at the societal level, school level violence hinders. Physical and psychological violence are common forms of so-called discipline. Children already discriminated against based on disability, poverty, caste, class, ethnicity, or sexual orientation are more likely than their peers to suffer corporal punishment. Alright, poor children learn the least, which hurts them the most. You must remember, there are many issues there, okay? And you can see there, the poor children, I mean, they along with other social inequalities, they have some injustices which is leveled at them, there. So therefore, we say that the poor children, they learn the least because they suffer the most, and which hurts them the most there. All right. In nearly all countries, students' family background, including parental education, socioeconomic status, and conditions at home, remain the largest predictors of learning outcomes. Okay, and you see here our cognitive, socio-emotional, and technical skills interact. All right. If you look at this, socio-emotional skill, which include self-awareness, self-management, and social awareness, and relationship skills, and cognitive skill. Now you see, is the word cognitive come? It obviously relates actually to the human mind, and that how one's mind actually develops there. All right. So now see, foundation skill, general academic, like we can say literacy, numeracy, general cognitive, and high order. And then we talk about the technical skill, entrepreneurial and diligent. I mean, these are the skill which enables you to become quite effective in a society there, which creates in you a kind of skill. We can say that after this, decision making, communications, great, self control, problem solving, organization skill, mid level technical, high level these should be there. But if you look, I mean, different schools in college and even universities, so they are failing. I mean, schools are failing learners. They do not provide them with such atmosphere where they are to be nurtured, but rather they are exploited there. They are destroyed over there, right? So we can say that struggling education system like one or more of four key school level ingredients, all right, for learning. Now just look at that. Prepare learners, effective teaching, learning learning focus and focus and puts, and the skill management and governance, and that pulls them all together. We do not have these things in school and colleges, and therefore that's why such effective learner doesn't happen, why learning doesn't happen. Four immediate factors that break down. All right. See, unskilled and unmotivated teacher. I mean, if you look at this kind of model, or this kind of thought, so why do learning does not happen indeed? Because you see that we do not have the skilled and motivated teachers and school, and the result is that de-learning or unlearning takes place, and sometimes we get very good students, but when they come to a place where the teachers are unskilled and they are unmotivated, so learning would certainly not happen. And then we have the unprepared learners. Along with this side, indeed, we do have the teachers and the learners who are not prepared actually for learning and for understanding, the knowledge. So therefore, we say that if you have the unskilled and unmotivated teacher, but at the other hand, when you are also having actually learners who are unprepared, so learning will not take place, and then social school management that does not affect teaching and learning. Sometimes you see the management even at universities and school and different colleges, they are least concerned actually with that, and so obviously learning will certainly get affected, and school inputs that do not affect the teaching and learning at all. So if these things are very much there, you can find them in schools, you can find them in colleges, you can find these things actually in universities. And if you have this thing, for example, you can take our response, our university response in regard to teachers who are not taking actually classes online. So they do not take least interest actually in this, though some committees have been formed, but unfortunately they are not having interest in them, and therefore we actually suffer. So I think this part is enough up to here. And I'll continue, because if I record it more, so it might not actually record it. So I'll come back to you people, but you just stay tuned.